Hi, it's Robert Mendelson, Fractional CMO here in beautiful Montreal, welcoming you to another episode of the Fractional Pros Canada podcast. We're part of Fractional Pros Canada, the home for Canada's fractional community, and you can find us on Facebook. We bring you conversations about everything fractional that matters, for fractional executives and businesses from coast to coast. Think of this as your go-to spot for real talk, practical wisdom, and strategies you can actually use, all without the corporate fluff and with plenty of Canadian content. Whether you're a fractional pro or a business in our great country of Canada and beyond, this conversation is for you. Grab your espresso and let's dive in. Welcome to the Fractional Pros Canada podcast. I'm your host and fractional CMO, Robert Mendelson, based in beautiful Montreal. And today we're diving deep into the practical application of AI with two leading fractional experts. Joining us from Montreal is Fabio Assis as a fractional CTO and Chief AI Officer. Fabio helps small and mid-sized businesses navigate digital transformation and get real value from their technology investments. And from just down the road in Ottawa, we have Drew Williams. Drew is the founder of the Fractional AI Academy, a community and system designed specifically to help fractional professionals leverage AI to attract clients, close deals faster, and scale their impact. And Drew and Fabio are both members of the Fractional Pros Canada Facebook community. So if you're a fractional pro in Canada and have not already done so, please join us on Facebook. Just look for the Fractional Pros Canada. Today's Fractional Pros Canada podcast is powered by Your CMO, the proven framework for fractional CMOs. Learn more at yourcmo.com. That's YORCMO.com. Drew, Fabio, welcome to the Pros Pod.
Thank you very much, Robert.
Happy to be here.
Great to have you guys. All right, let's dig into this AI thing everyone's talking about. The core problem, right? So now that the AI buzz is kind of shifting, everybody's aware of AI, everybody is starting to use it, and most people are still at the stage of figuring out how to use it. So let's start with you, Fabio. From your point of view, what is the most significant or real business problem that people should be using AI to solve effectively today? And we can talk about that from the lens of both in a business, so client side, and as a fractional.
Absolutely. That's the $1 million questions, right, Robert? Everybody wanna know how to use AI. We hear everywhere we are hearing hey, you need to incorporate AI into your business, otherwise you're gonna die soon, or this kind of stuff. The problem is nobody's actually telling you how to do it, or why, or how should you leverage AI. If I can actually say in a nutshell, we have to see AI as one more tool in our toolbox, an excellent tool, something that it's been, I would say that will be revolutionary. I think we're on the crossroads of something that will shift the way we work and do work. But if I need to actually summarize the usage of AI, I would say automation, making you more efficient. And what is that exactly? It's mainly you have to think about all the tasks that you manually do either by yourself or on your professional life, in your business, etc. All the tasks that you repeat over and over again, all the tasks that takes too much time, but they are, I would quote it, mechanical tasks, and look for those as quick wins to implement AI. I think those are the ways you actually get started, at least. So it comes back to doing a very nice reflection of what do I do every day? What are the main values that I can get out of my tasks and whatnot? So I would say look for the things that you hate doing, to just dread doing every single day, or you repeat over and over again.
So audit your processes, see which ones are repetitive, highlight the ones that you don't like doing, and you're off to the races. Drew, are you on par with that, or you got a different slant on this?
Well, this is the first time I'm meeting Fabio, but I feel like we share the same brain. Because I think definitely the way I approach it, whether it's from a fractional perspective of like, how do I look at my own business and my own practice and leverage AI? And then also, how do the businesses that I work with leverage AI and how can I be an expert there? I think a lot of people, when it comes to technology and especially AI, it's like, what tool should I use? Which one is the best? Which one is not the best? And to Fabio's point, it's not about picking the right tool. It's about like looking at your business, again, whether personally or with a business, and saying what processes, whether it's sales, marketing, operations, technical, IT, what processes do we want off our plate as human kind of capital? Because if we want those off our plate because they could be automated or we just don't like doing them, then we can bring in AI to supplement kind of that productivity. So the way I think about it in any process is like, let's map out the process that we have. And then an easy way to do it is like a traffic light, like a green light, yellow light, red light. So if there's a bottleneck in a process, that's a red light. If we're good to go, it's a green light. Yellow, it's fine, but we don't need any help on it. And so when we find the red lights, then we can kind of explore options and tools and different ways that we can leverage AI to kind of pick that one task. And at least we have a starting point. Because I think that's another really big takeaway is like starting somewhere, and one task is going to help you kind of integrate it into your own systems and also like client systems.
What do you say to people who might be listening to this and have already gone through the process of identifying repetitive tasks, the ones they don't like doing, and they've already outsourced them, but not to AI. They've outsourced them to somebody else, maybe an administrative assistant, maybe a coordinator type of person. And they kind of are going in their heads, I think AI could probably replace that person, but I'm kind of stuck. I don't want to let go of that person. I don't want to replace them. I like having a human element, or I don't know how to have the conversation. I'm afraid of the transition period where, okay, I let that person go, but the AI isn't doing as good a job yet and takes time to ramp up. So talk to that person and, walk them through the process. What are the right steps to take to transition from relying on third-party human help to third-party AI help for the same tasks?
Yeah, I love it. I love this question, Robert, because this is something that first of all, it comes very often. So AI is going to replace us all. We're going to lose jobs. And every single day in LinkedIn or in any social media, you're seeing the AI is going to replace us all. Developers are losing their jobs, or admin assistants will lose their jobs, or every single day they're killing someone's job. And that might be the case down the road. But what we need to take into consideration is uh, let's use humans for what they actually do best. Meaning, AI is here. I don't think AI is here to replace a human being. I think AI is here to make human beings more efficient and for them to be able to dedicate their time, their effort, and their cognitive capacities for tasks that actually adds value, either being having a human in the loop kind of flow, or really thinking about strategy, thinking about better suited tasks. I keep saying to my and this is something that I normally have on my business as a fractional. I have this little slogan that I say, "Hey, AI powered, human centric," because I sincerely believe that the best combination we might have is if you use AI to solve the problems, to free the time. And when I say free the time, I'm not only talking about, for example, free the time, because that's something people normally have in mind, that ROI only comes from, okay, so if I save 10 hours from my worker, this worker can actually use this 10 hours to do something else and then make money. Yeah, and that might be the case. But sometimes, if you save 10 hours a week for this worker, how about, for example, using 5 of those hours for your worker to take a time off, or to do something else, or to decompress, or to include training, and you develop further the human. So the ROI, I think, that AI will bring us, it should not be only focused on productivity and time spent. So should I let go one of my employees or not? Or now that I have I don't know, now that my employees 30% of the time idle, should I just let one of them go? No, think differently. Perhaps what you need to do is make him happier, invest on him, train him to do something else, something more valuable. So I think the way you should look at the solution, it's not AI or human, but is AI plus human as the big differentiator on this new time of the.
So it's ketchup and mustard, not ketchup or mustard.
Absolutely. That's the thing.
And it could be based on your preference and what you want to do, or if you're having a hot dog or a sausage type of thing. So sometimes you want more AI and more human, but I think the idea of human in the loop, and this is what we do when we're building enablement resources and sales resources, we leverage AI to build a lot of the content for it, but the humans have the context of, is this the best content? Is this the right content? Is this perfect for the team today and like where we want to go? Because AI still needs a little bit of help at the very end, but we get to a point where we're at 80% versus starting at 0%. And the human in the loop helps that process.
Yep, and I love it. I love your example, Drew, just because sales is an example of this. If you think about, for example, today on LinkedIn, or how many of us receives automated email markets that you can actually smell the AI out of it, and all of a sudden, what's your first reaction? Say, it's not personal. It's just one in a million kind of email, whatever it is. So can you actually replace a human in areas that are so sensitive to the human touch as sales, as marketing, as, HR, or many others? I don't think so, or at least not yet. And I think it should remain these for quite a while.
Drew, in your profile, it says, I pulled out something that was very salient, I think. It says, without a solid foundation, leveraging AI becomes chaotic and ineffective. So what does that solid foundation actually look like for, let's talk about a fractional professional who wants to use AI or get AI implemented into one of their clients? What are the elements of that solid foundation that need to be there before one can really start leveraging AI for the better?
So when I think of leveraging AI, so let's say you're bringing on a new employee. You need to have playbooks, processes, SOPs, onboarding plans to help like train them, to give them context of what they're walking into, so they're not like surprised and they're not asking random questions and getting random answers. And so it's the same when you're bringing on AI, is that you need to build those foundations so from a sales perspective, what you need to do is build in those, let's say, sales playbooks and sales enablement. So then we can build either assistants or automations or custom GPTs or whatever it is on top of that. And the reason we do that is that with ChatGPT, you go ask ChatGPT a question, it gives you an answer. And it's built on kind of two core elements. One is like a knowledge base, and the other is the system instructions of what it's supposed to do. So the knowledge base is, in general, let's say ChatGPT and other LLMs, is humongous. And then the system instructions are probably going to just be a general system instruction saying, help the user out based on your knowledge. And so if you think of, again, from a sales perspective, it's like, I want to build a go-to-market strategy for my new CTO fractional business. And that's all you put in. It's going to really guess in terms of everything it has to kind of give you that answer. Whereas when you build custom AI solutions like assistants or agents to help you either get answers or do stuff for you, you build on a different knowledge base, which is then educated either from a fractional perspective. Let's say your PowerPoints, your podcasts that you were on, your presentations, your training, you can educate a custom GPT on that to then pull content from. So if you wanted to build a LinkedIn content, you can pull it from all those kind of sources, and it kind of acts as your brain. It's not guessing on general information. So that's kind of the big difference in terms of like how we kind of build these custom GPTs and help educate the AI so that it's a little bit more focused and you're getting what you want out of it.
Fabio, anything that you see differently as far as that necessary solid foundation before kicking into high gear with AI?
Absolutely not. I think Drew was spot on. I think the most important thing is, to perhaps circle back on something that Drew spoke early in this call, in this podcast here. The tools are the last piece of the puzzle. Sometimes we focus too much on the technology, on tools, or which tool should I use? Should I use ChatGPT? Should I use Gemini? Should I use whatever tool we're talking about here? It's not really that. It's if you're using either on your client or on your own fractional business, it all starts with what is the problem that you want to solve? What do you want to do about it? And it ties back with the context, as Drew was saying. You cannot just go back to whatever, pick your tool, pick your poison here. You cannot just go to a tool and say, hey, give me the answer. Awesome. The answer for what? What is the question? So it's all about the mindset. It's all about the problem you want to solve. It's all about education. It's all about understanding what you really want in order to give the proper context, in order to give the proper background, so you can actually get reliable results. But that's it.
Yeah, it's interesting how the mindset is typically AI is going to help us solve problems. And what I've been starting to do in my own practice is I'm helping AI help me define what the problem is I'm trying to solve, which is in itself helping me solve a problem. And so by, priming it with here's the context, here's the business case or whatever it might be, here's what I think the problem is that needs to be solved, but tell me how you see it, act like a, pick your title, right? Act like a seasoned, a KPMG expert consultant is one of my favorite go-tos, right? Business consultant or something like that, or a Harvard Business Review, expert article writer, something like that, and help me, define what is the actual problem that needs to be solved here. Have you guys played with that at all, or recommended that to clients at all to help AI not just solve the problem, but help it define the problem?
That's great, because it's interesting, because just last week I was actually talking to one of my clients, and on a very similar situation, and I told him, that you can actually ask ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or whatever. That you can actually ask him how you should actually frame your question. Like, you don't need to actually ask the questions in order to give the answer. You can actually ask him to ask the questions for you. If you are unsure on how you should frame it, how you should prompt, how you should do it, ask GPT for help. Ask the LLM for help. Hey, LLM, I want to do this and I want to have these as a result. Can you help me out here? Can you ask me questions that will build my prompt or my requirements or whatever it is? Do it. So, because it's interesting how the human brain usually works. The human brain, in our mind, when you see ChatGPT, Gemini, and everything, you understand it very clearly in just one way. Like, for example, I ask the questions, he gives me the answers. You can do the opposite. ask him to ask you the questions, provide your answers, and then ask him to formulate or whatever. And it's interesting that people don't realize this, that you can actually do it. But it's a very interesting, unique, and useful way to use those.
Well, it's our transition away from kind of two major things. One is interacting with computers with a mouse and even just a keyboard of like clicking around to say, I need to click 5 different things to open this document or to find this research report, versus just like typing in, find this research report. Like having a conversation with a computer is like a completely different thing that we're not used to doing. And so we have to learn how to communicate with AI. And the best way, just like Fabio just said, is like, who knows the best about ChatGPT? ChatGPT. So no matter how many blogs you read and things you watch and podcasts you listen to, if you want to go to ChatGPT, and this is actually what I did like maybe a month ago, I just said, I started a conversation versus trying to get an answer, because that's the other piece where it's like we're used to Google, where we just say, what's the best restaurant in Los Angeles? Or what's the best restaurant in Toronto? I'm going to the Blue Jays game. And it'll give you 2 options that are paid for, versus saying like, hey, I'm really into like vegan Szechuan food, and we're staying downtown at King and Yonge Street. And we also have someone who has like allergies. Like, where should we go? And it gets a little bit more specific. But yeah, I feel like it's just being able to kind of understand that helps a little bit.
Yeah, it's almost like we've been conditioned up until now with the decades of Google dominance, where we ask it the question, it gives us the answer. And so in our heads, that's kind of like how we interact with Google and how we started interacting with AI. And where I find we need to make the shift is to not think of AI like a search engine like Google, because it's much more powerful, but think of it more, at least the way I think of AI, I think of it as that other person sitting next to me in the room all the time who knows a lot about a lot. And I can ask that person for their opinion on anything, whether it's just a thought I'm pondering, whether it's a problem I'm trying to solve, whether it's related to my personal life, my family life, my professional life. And so it becomes more of a conversation with AI that can be a question, could be an answer, it could be a back and forth. And I do a lot of voice to text or voice to voice now with AI. It's rare that I'm going to be typing in. And that's also important, because I find that when I am asking a question or conversing with AI verbally instead of typing, my output, I'm a human, I'm using the word output. I think the assimilation is starting. My output is very different because I'm talking conversationally, which is different than how my thoughts come out when I'm typing them, where they typically will become more organized and there'll be less perhaps peripheral details that may in fact be really important, especially for the AI to take it all in and come back to me with a really informed response of some.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, go ahead, Drew.
I think that's important, like in terms of when we're building AI solutions, and go back to that foundation of what we're building. So we talked about the knowledge base of, like, let's say our fractional practice or a client's practice. There's documents and PDFs and Excel sheets and PowerPoints that we can upload as a knowledge base to pull from. But what I found when we're just like building sales playbooks is when we get that knowledge, but also the context from, let's say, a discovery call about having a conversation between a fractional VP of sales and the CEO of a company, and it's a 1-hour transcript, then we get that layered on top of the knowledge from the company. The nuances that AI can pick up is unbelievable. And we've even, like, I'm just saying this as a demonstration because this is what like other fractionals can do, is like you can do like gap analysis, and you can go into a company, chat with the 5 leaders from that particular part of the company, have a discovery, 1-hour discovery with each of them. AI can analyze that, give you a gap analysis based on like your frameworks, and then put together a game plan, let's say for the next the next quarter. And then you can use that and then maybe do another interview a quarter later, update it and pull from it. So there's all these like extra nuances you can bring in. But I think transcripts are like absolutely gold because we're recording all of them, but we're probably not doing a lot with them.
Yeah, it's kind of like almost what we're seeing in the medical field and how AI is being applied to it, where now doctors are showing AI an X-ray, and the AI is seeing things that a human doctor typically will miss or won't see. And so take that into the business landscape, and that X-ray is the transcript of the conversations we're having, where the AI can again have some insights, pull out some nuances that we would just not see. We miss them for whatever reason.
And that's basically using AI, using the tool for what the tool performs best. AI, if we take a step back, we're talking about AI and always referring to generative AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, and whatever, just because I think it's more tangible for the people in general. But AI has been around for over 50 years now, and we have been using AI for decades, and most of the people don't even realize. And one of the things that AI it's very good for, and I'm talking about AI in a broader sense, not only a Gen AI, ChatGPT. It's AI it's about data. It's basically how the computer process data. What kind of data? Numbers, images, which is translated to numbers, words, that is also translated to numbers, and everything. But the good thing about AI is very good at correlations. That's the whole foundation of AI. AI is not a deterministic thing, it's a probabilistic thing, which means it's very good at actually getting one set of data, another set of data, doing comparisons, doing analysis, doing comparisons, all of this kind of stuff. Okay, so when you see medical studies that shows, for example, that the doctor, the way the AI can analyze X-rays and see things the human eye cannot see, because it actually seen beyond just the image, but he's actually seen signs or patterns that our brain could not pick up yet. Same things with words, in case of ChatGPT and whatnot. So that's your example, Drew. We're talking about transcriptions here, and I do it all the time. And if there is one advice that I would give people here, absolutely for free, is do what Drew just said. Grab your transcriptions and analyze it with GPT. Ask questions, interact with those. Why? Because AI sometimes, we are humans. So sometimes we have bias, we have our own opinions on our heads, and sometimes the pure facts, which is what the machine actually sees, they kind of escape, they elope, because we have this bias or we have this feeling that what the client said was this or that, and it goes against the bias. So it goes against the facts. So we have our own bias. And by doing this kind of analysis with GPT, as you mentioned, Robert, by talking as a human being, he can be your coworker and say, hey, on that meeting, what happened? What did he mean by this? What exactly is his goals? Am I missing something? One of the things that I usually love to do, and Drew, I don't know if you do this kind of stuff, but it's pretty good. It's whenever I see the transcripts, instead of actually asking, uh, it normally gives you the summary, but instead of actually reading the summary or asking for this or for that, what I do is I actually put my interpretation of the call and ask ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever it is, did I get it right? Did I miss anything? Is there anything that it's not quite there? Because now we are actually acting, Robert, as you suggested. I have a coworker that has a different, would say a mindset, a different perspective that will challenge my decisions and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a very good exercise to do it.
Well, and I think just from that perspective, the great and not great thing about AI is that it doesn't have emotions. So when it's communicating with you, It doesn't have like any sort of context or social awareness of who you are in the organization and who your friends are and where you are positioned. So when it's going to give you feedback, like Fabio was saying, it's just going to be very practical, straightforward feedback. It's not, it's like whatever the bias the large language model has, but it's not going to have like a corporate bias or a bias based on who you are, that sort of thing. So it's a really great partner and collaborative partner to have, because it doesn't judge you and you don't get to judge it, and it just kind of stays in your own conversation.
Yeah, even though the last one was kind of a little weird, judgmental kind of thing. You were always right. The last ChatGPT was weird one.
Yeah, there's a whole debate, does AI have bias or not? What kind of bias does it have? And does it really take a truly objective point of view and everything? That's a debate that probably will rage on forever. And even saying that it's not emotional, and I mean, obviously it's not emotional, it's a machine, but sometimes it comes across as if it is, and that's where it starts to become interesting / maybe scary.
But those are the two sides of the conversation, where you have the AI companies are trying to make AI more human so that it interacts with us, and we're trying to, at this point, figure out how to interact with it, because we speak two different languages. And if you even go into ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm a human, you're a robot, how do you know I'm not a robot? And like, what's the difference between human communication and AI communication? And it'll teach you a lot from there. But that's like where we're trying to get to, is like the AI companies are trying to get more human. We're trying to communicate with it better, and we're going to kind of come together somewhere. But also, I think in terms of tools and functionality, we're going to have to find the right kind of deployment of our own AI and like how we want it to act, because it's going to guess again on like how we want it to act. But maybe we're a fractional CIO and we want to be very professional. We work with banks and we don't want to have any sort of hallucinations, and we want to be very scripted in what we say. And instead of like signing up to some voice agent that just does general conversation, we either build our own or find one that's specific for that particular industry.
You just made me remember, for the Trekkies, original Star Trek series, there's an episode where Spock and Kirk and friends are in some enemy territory that's being run by evil robots, and Spock, Mr. Logic, comes up with the perfect way to short circuit the robots, right? And he says to the robots, he says, everything I tell you from now on is a lie. And then the next thing he says is, what I'm about to tell you is the truth. And then you see the robots go out loud. They're talking like, you said everything was a lie, but now you're telling me it's the truth, but it's a lie, but it's the truth. And they just keep repeating. And then you see the smoke coming out of their ears and they short circuit. And then they just like,
There you go. But I think, Joe, what you mentioned there, it's very interesting. I mean, I don't want to go on a philosophy debate here, because we would, drag on forever here. I don't know how many hours you guys have, but it would be forever. But what you mentioned here, it's very interesting about how the companies are trying to make the AI more human. And it's interesting to see the reaction of the human being, because what I just said was kind of a joke just before about the last model, but OpenAI had to actually review the whole model, because the model was agreeing with everything
Yeah,
we
I
were
remember that.
saying
Yeah.
and praising us for how awesome we are. And it's not human-like kind of thing, you know? And that actually not scared, but people got, oh, okay, why? I did something wrong. Why you're telling me I'm so awesome that it's weird. And but sometimes I think, is that the right way for us to go? Like, for example, do we really want to make the machines more human-like? Is that what we're looking for?
Well, I think the
It's
definition, it's interesting because the definition of human like is different in every context, right? So it's like ChatGPT is trying to solve a general human like concept, whereas like we're building conversational voice agents on 11 Labs with fractional CROs and others, taking their voice, but also being very particular in terms of like how they interact with that person and having a real conversation of like what's it like having a conversation with Drew versus Robert versus Fabio. It's our world experience, our opinions, our hot takes, our length of conversation, our sentences, they're all different. And so I think it's like ChatGPT I agree, it's like it's a too big of a problem to solve, because when you again go to AI, you want it to act like you need it to act. And so there's some expectations, and if it falls short, we lose out. And so if we can kind of, I don't know, mimic AI with a knowledge base and a style of like who you want to have a conversation with, then that's like a winning formula. But the interpretation of like what is human like is like it's person like, not just 9 billion people on the planet human like.
And that's interesting because I actually went on that's a very specific case where I actually posted something online on social media, and that was me. It was not AI or anything. It was me, and I made a typo. Phone, boom, 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 fat fingers, typo. And a friend of mine actually messaged me in private and say, "Hey, love what you just wrote, but there was a typo." And I said, that's interesting because it actually got me thinking. He knew it was me. He knew it was me and not an AI. And he knew it was me because of my imperfection.
So, true confession, I've started intentionally including typos in some of my LinkedIn content just so people know that it's actually human, which is kind of really messed up, right? And then I start to think, are they going to start making AI like produce content and ask you, would you like me to make it more human like and include some intentional typos? And then we won't know at all.
Probably.
Exactly, which is weird, right? Because now, to prove that we are humans, we need to show our imperfections. So, where are we going to stop?
All right, let's get back to some less philosophical and more tactical discussion. If we talk about the most common, the most costly mistake that you guys see businesses or fractionals making when they first try to integrate AI into their work, what do you think? What do you think that is? What's on the top of the list of
first thing that comes
common?
to mind for me is just paralysis by analysis. And so from a fractional perspective, like the last 2-3 years have probably just been like absolutely overwhelming. Not only just like being in your own practice, running your own practice, or starting your own practice, but AI coming into it, and you're supposed to be that like trusted advisor, and that advisor in that network and your network on your particular industry. But then they're going to ask you, what's the latest in AI marketing? What's the latest in AI sales? Like, what's our cybersecurity policy for AI from a fractional CTO, CIO, that sort of thing. And so it's very overwhelming. And so sometimes I think people just are like either waiting it out and not doing anything about it. They're not experimenting even just on their own about just spending an hour a day, 2 hours a day, 3 hours on a Friday afternoon, just jumping into a large language model and asking it questions and just interacting with it. Because from my experience, the more conversations you have with AI, the more you understand it. And the more you understand it, the more places you can see it in your own practice and also helping your clients out. So I think the biggest kind of is just like the paralysis by analysis, where it's like, well, I just don't know what to do, so I won't even start. But you got to start somewhere.
I
Fabio?
normally see two big ones that they perhaps most of the times they go hand in hand. One of them is believing that AI will solve all your problems automatically. It will not. See AI as a tool in your toolbox, a very good one that will make you more efficient, but it will not solve all your problems, especially the problems that you do not know you have or they're not clear in your mind. And that problem normally of actually believing that AI will fix all the problems brings you to the second of the problems that I see the most, the issues that I see the most, which is just buying a bunch of tools. I believe AI is going to solve all my problems. So I go there and I'll just buy a subscription for this, buy this automatic presentation maker. Then I will buy this automatic software agent creator. Then I will buy this automatic. So the first free advice that I give you, if it has too many automatics in the name, beware. There are big chances of it might not work. But those are the two, I would say, main issues that I see. Believing blindly that it will fix all the problems, and then I would say it's the shiny tool syndrome. You just have to buy a bunch of tools, a bunch of softwares, and just because you bought the software, problems will be solved. And that's hardly the solution.
And so, sort of dovetailing off of that, as AI starts to handle more of the tactical work and some of the other work, what becomes the most important, the most critical human skill for business leaders and fractionals to kind of double down on and stay competitive in? What's that core human skill or that small list of core human skills that are not going away and in fact become more and more important as we start to adopt AI?
I would say from our perspective, working with companies, and from a fractional perspective, is this idea of like context, where we're having a conversation here as three people, and we have a context of like what groups we're a part of, what our intentions are, where we're coming from, all these sorts of things. Like there's so much context in this digital room that like we don't even realize there is. And it's really difficult for AI to pick up on all of that context. It can pick up on nuance from those transcripts and that sort of thing. And the more it knows us, the more it knows the context. But as a fractional professional, you're going into a company and you know context that AI doesn't know. Like you don't know that company's wants to exit in 2 years. You don't know that company's going through a transition where they want to give it to their kids and they're trying to figure out how to do this. You don't know that they're trying to hire their first 3 salespeople or build a marketing team, even though they're at $50 million and they've been doing it for 20 years. It doesn't kind of know that. The more we can give AI to help analyze and help like work with us as a collaborative partner, the better. And what we can offer it is that sort of context.
Yeah, I would say critical thinking. That's the most important thing that we can develop on these AI, especially when we're talking about these LLMs, Gen AI solutions, is critical thinking. Because today, honestly, it can give you a bunch of answers for any questions you have. But is it the right answer? Is it a good answer? Kind of ties a little bit with Drew, what Drew just said here on the context and everything. Is it the right answer? Is it exactly what it needs to be? For example, I'm a CTO. I'm a fractional CTO. So I have been dealing with technology for 25 years now. So I would say that I know my fair share of technology and everything else. So for me, it's very easy to ask a technology related question or ask him to perform a technology oriented task, etc. I can evaluate the results. However, if I ask ChatGPT or Claude Gemini, whatever, to draft me a contract, I don't know. I will just read it, and if I think it seems fairly, you know, good, I would say, okay, it's valid. But we know it's not right this. It's not like that. I can ask ChatGPT to write me a go-to-market strategy. Is this go-to-market strategy as good as the one Drew would help me build, as the one Robert might help me build? Most likely not. I don't know. So the critical thinking is that little, piece that we as humans we need to have to say, I should use the AI for this. I should not use for this. I am capable of evaluating the results of the AI, and those make sense. Or I should not use for this because I cannot say if it's true, if it's hallucination. How can I say if it's a hallucination? I don't know. So critical thinking is something that we professionals need to develop. Our kids, because listen, guys, that's new for us, but for our kids, it's like the VCR. They were born with this, you know. So we need to actually help them understanding the usage of the tools, but having the critical thinking to evaluate, to challenge, to judge the outputs.
Reminding our digital first children about the importance of the human element.
There you go.
Go figure. How times are getting crazy and changing, right? Wow. Wow. Final thoughts. So, if you could put a message on a billboard that is on the highway of life and everybody's seen it all day long, what would that message be?
I would say, I think of like Nike, and when they say, just do it, where it's just like, go play. Like, that was my best educator. I follow a lot of people, read a lot of things, watch a lot of things, but my best educator is just AI itself. And I spent a lot of time just playing with it. I don't have the AI background that Fabio does, so I came into it just super excited about what it possibly could do, and I got it to do one little thing that I was like, oh, that's cool. Maybe it could do this. And then it kept opening and opening and opening. It was like that onion that just kept like peeling. And so the more you play with it, the more you see where it can like apply in your life. And it's funny, I had a couple conversations with people where I do something and I'm like, I just ask ChatGPT. They're like, oh, obviously you would. Like, you always think of that first. It's like, why don't you think of that first? Like, so just go play, have fun, enjoy it. Like, just get into it. Don't be overwhelmed by it. And the more you play with it, the more you're going to get educated at just naturally.
Yeah, I think it aligns with Drew, my message. I would just say, embrace it. You have to embrace the reality that the world, as we know, is changing. We've seen this change before. We're talking about the Industrial Revolution. We talk about electricity. We talk about the internet and how they actually change it and how they actually shaped our world. AI is this. It's gonna change the way we behave, the way we work, the way we study, everything. So don't lose too much time debating, oh my God, is it good? Is it bad? Is it? It's like anything else in life. Good things, good people, bad people, but it's happening. So the best thing you can do, the best advice you can I can give you is embrace it, embrace the change, adapt, learn what you need to learn. Do not lose your human touch, your human critical thinking, but embrace it. Do not try to fight the challenge. Do not try to say, "Oh, it's bad and I'm against and that's it," because you're gonna be run over.
Absolutely. And I think my billboard message, the takeaway, one of the great takeaways, one of the great quotes from the discussion today, I'd put up there, AI powered, human centric. I think that says it all in a way as well.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Drew, how can people connect with you?
You can go find me at salesplaybookbuilder.com. And we'll also we'll share a link with you to the Fractional AI Academy, where we're sharing some AI insights on, like you're saying, how to attract new clients, sell to them, and then leverage AI to help with your deliverables too.
Great. And Fabio, how can people connect with you?
I mean, you can connect me on LinkedIn, so you can easily find me there, or you can just head to asinova.ca. It's a website where we're going to see a little bit of what we do and how we help the small and medium-sized business leveraging AI, understanding what problems can and should be solved by AI and be more efficient.
All right, gentlemen, thanks so much again for joining us today here on the Fractional Pros Canada podcast.
It was my pleasure.
That's a wrap on another episode of the Fractional Pros Canada podcast. If you're a fractional professional based in Canada, we'd love to have you join us in the Fractional Pros Canada Facebook group, the home for Canada's fractional community. It's where Canadian fractional executives connect, share insights, and help each other succeed. Until next time, I'm Robert Mendelson, Fractional CMO. May your impact be full-time, even if your hours are fractional.